So hello everyone and welcome to Career Launcher. So in today's class, we are going to discuss a recent Supreme Court order on Waqf Amendment Act. So I hope you all are aware that last year Waqf Amendment Act 2025 was passed, which actually amended Waqf Act of 1995. So what happened? It was challenged in the Supreme Court, and recently we have seen an interim order in with regards to that. So that is why I'll be discussing it in detail about that order. What are the things you should be knowing, and we will do a short revision of the act as well. Okay, and I found it important because it has been very much in the news in the last 1 year. So maybe they can give you a passage based on this. So yes, good afternoon, Riva, Sneha, Ishan, Shruti, Aryan. You. So am I audible, Priyanshi? Yes. मेरी आवाज आ रही है? Is everything fine? Is the slide visible? If yes, then please write yes in the comments. Adrija, Priyanshi, you all are right. Good afternoon. Yes. Take. So let us begin. So when we are talking about Waqf, first of all, let's have a question. The first question is, who is currently the Minister of Minority Affairs? Your options are Mr. Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, Mr. Shahnawaz Hussain, Mr. Syed Zafar Islam, Mr. Kiran Rijiju. What is the right answer to this question? Yes, D is the right answer. Adrija, Priyanshi, Sneha, Shruti, Nandini, Vanisha, you all right. D is the right answer. And he actually initiated the bill in the parliament last year. So it was very much in the news, you can see. And after that, the Waqf Amendment Bill, at that time it was a bill. Now it has become an act passed by both the houses. And the president has given the assent. And notified in the Gazette of India. So after that, it was challenged at the Supreme Court, and we have recently seen a judgment regarding that. Okay, so we'll discuss that. Okay, but before that, what is the meaning of Waqf? Since we are talking about Waqf Amendment Act, you should know what is Waqf. Can anyone tell me what is Waqf? Because till now, you should, if you are reading newspaper, you must have come across this term. Waqf matlab hota donation, right? So donation done for the religious purpose, hai na? Yes, so donation is fine, right? It can be in the terms of money, or it can be in terms of land, hai na? Or in other way. For example, this. So basically, so Waqf is an Arabic word. So it means, for example, if there is a person XYZ, and this person owns, let's say, land, and he wants to donate this land for, let's say, building mosque. So he actually he has done Waqf or donated it. Now it will be, and if it is registered by the Waqf board of a particular state, then that Waqf board will be managing it. And whatever is the land, let's say this land is now used to build mosque, or let's say a graveyard, or let's say madrasa, or any other thing, something like that. So this land now does not belong to anyone. It's not a private property. It belongs to the community. Donation to community wise hota hai na, right? And Waqf board is only the trustee. It is supposed to handle it properly. Hai na? That is the idea behind this. Yes, Priyanshi, very good. Other people have also written. Advija, Sneha, Shruti, you all are right. Now, since we are talking about this, there was another term that came, and it is called as mutawalli. Can anyone tell me what is this? Have you seen this word when you have read the newspaper, or when we are talking about Waqf? I'm sure you must be aware of this term. Manager, yeah, Waqf, one who takes care of the Waqf property. Yes, caretaker. Okay, you all are right. Very good. Nandini, Priyanshi, and Vanisha. Sneha, you all right. Ab dekho hota kya, for example, let's say this person XYZ has given land, has donated the land. So now let's say mosque is built here in the same land. He has donated it and the mosque is built. Now this land and the mosque does not belong to one person. It is actually considered as a part of or owned by community because it has been donated or waqf. Waqf has been done. Okay. Now, but there has to be someone who should be managing those money. For example, this is a land where mosque is there. So there is a mutawalli of the mosque who is supposed to handle the expenditures and other things, right? So yes, you can say the manager of the waqf or etc. and all. Caretaker ये कह सकते हो, ठीक है. So that is what you should be doing because maybe when you read articles regarding this waqf, you will come across these terms. ठीक है. So ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. है ना? So waqf means an Islamic endowment of property to be held in trust and used for a charitable or religious purpose. Held in trust means it is not privately owned now by anyone because the person has given it as a charity or donated it as a land for religious purposes. It will now be considered as a part of community, not belonging to one person. Okay. Now let's move on to another question. Why are talking about it? Because when this bill was initiated, Mr. Kiran Rijiju talked about this, and this committee was very much in the news at that time. What is the name of the committee that was set up to study the social, economic, and educational status of Muslims in India? And at that time, who was the Prime Minister of the country? A बहुत famous committee है, that's why you should be knowing. And since it was in the news at that time, when not Rajiv Gandhi committee, I'm waiting for the response. I thought कि आप लोग आंसर कर दोगे. Long name, I forgot. And I find it important. That's why I'm discussing. कोई बता दे. I'm giving some time. 2005 after Bano case. नहीं, Shah Bano case is 1985, not 2001. So it was not during the time of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, neither Rajiv Gandhi. Lal Bahadur Shastri. ना, चलो मैं प्राइम मिनिस्टर बताता हूँ. At that time, the prime minister was Mr. Manmohan Singh. अब बता दीजिए. दो बानो थी. कुशागरा, you are talking about two Shah Bano case. मैं बता देता हूँ. एक Shah Bano case है. That happened in 1985. Another is Shaira Bano case. That happened in 2017. Directly, neither of the two cases related with this. ठीक है. इससे कोई लेना देना नहीं इन दोनों केस को. मतलब ये जो कमेटी वाली की बात है. ठीक है. So the right answer is Sachar Committee. नाम सुना है किसी ने? Have you heard this committee? Yes, Kushagra, right? Now you're right. No one has heard. Prime Minister's High Level Committee, 2006 November. So Mr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister of India from 2004 to 2014. है ना? So उसी time पर. And who was Sachar? Justice Rajendra Sachar was a former Delhi High Court Chief Justice. Okay, submitted his report in 2006 and report was available in public domain on 30th November 2006. So it's a 403 page report. ठीक है ना? And please read, मतलब थोड़ा सा कोई इसके बारे में basic idea होना चाहिए. Why I'm saying because Waqf was in the news and that is why आप देख सकते हो. ठीक है. Just have an idea about it. इतना पता होना चाहिए कि Sachar committee was there and the chairperson was Justice Rajendra Sachar. There were other people also. लेकिन सिर्फ आपको ये वाला नाम पता होना चाहिए. Let's move on to the next one. Central Waqf Council is what? Constitutional body, statutory body, executive body, attached office under Chief Minister's office. Because you will see this being discussed in the Supreme Court judgment also. And in the Act, the Amendment Act. Yes, Neha and Priyanshi, you both are right. It's a statutory body formed as a result of this. So हाँ, so 1954 एक्ट के अंदर 1964 में, so under Waqf Act 1954 it was set up, Central Waqf Council, है ना? So it is an advisory body to advise the central governments on matters related with Waqf boards and the due administration of Awqaf. वही जो donated land की बात हो रही है, Awqaf comes from the word Waqf, ठीक है? Oh my God. Can anyone tell me? Someone is asking, what is the difference between constitutional body and statutory body? इस पर AILET का PY क्यों आया हुआ है? That's why I'm asking, and there is someone asking in the chat. कोई हमको बता सकता है what is the difference between option A and option B? Kushagra, both are not same. Which of the following is a statutory body? Which of the following is a constitutional body? Neither statutory nor constitutional. Yes, Aryan, right. Constitutional body which is mentioned in the Constitution. For example, Article 324, Election Commission of India. Article 148, CAG. Article 124, Supreme Court. These are constitutional bodies. Parliament, all are constitutional. Statutory bodies which formed as a result of a parliamentary law, just a SEBI Act. Earlier it was a non-statutory, but SEBI Act बना दिया गया parliamentary law के result में. Yes, Priyanshi, हाँ, not a constitutional amendment or not done by inserting. जैसे we have National Human Rights Commission, again a statutory body because it is formed under Protection of Human Rights Act करके एक law है 1990s में. Yes, Shruti. So statutory body is actually the bodies which are formed as a result of a simple parliamentary law. Okay. So आप कह सकते हैं सर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को भी तो पार्लियामेंट अमेंड करती है. Yes, but the procedure to amend the constitution is it's difficult as compared to the normal statutory law, making a normal statutory law, right? So when parliament also adds here, for example, Article 338 capital B was added. I think 100, as far as I could remember, it is 102nd amendment to make National Commission for Backward Class or Schedule a constitutional body. Earlier, it was also a statutory body, normal. Okay. So this concept has to be very crystal clear because, of course, तो ये वाला हो जाएगा Central Waqf Council statutory body because it is formed under Waqf Act 1954. ठीक है? एकदम क्लियर होना चाहिए ये सब चीजें. ठीक है? ठीक है. सेंट्रल वक्फ काउंसिल स्टैचुटरी बॉडी. अच्छा, जो आदमी द पर्सन हु डज द वक्फ इज आल्सो कॉल्ड एज वाकिफ. ठीक है. और जो ग्रांट यानी जो डोनेशन दिया गया दैट्स कॉल्ड एज मुशरतुल खिदमात. ठीक है. मे बी शायद पूछ लें, हो सकता है सब टर्म न्यूज में, सो मे बी दे कैन बी आस्क्ड, है ना. फिलैंथ्रोपी मतलब चैरिटी के पर्पस के लिए तब डोनेटेड लैंड होता है ना. दैट इज व्हाट यू शुड बी नोइंग अबाउट. ओके. ऐसे आप समझ सकते हैं खिदमत जो होता है. इफ यू नो हिंदी देन यू कैन नो खिदमत मींस टू हेल्प समवन. वाकिफ इज द पर्सन हु हैज डोनेटेड द लैंड, हु हैज डन द वक्फ. ओके. And mutawalli we have done. It is the manager or the administration of the waqf property is called as mutawalli. Okay, so these terms has to be crystal clear. Mutawalli bata diyo na, manager of the waqf. The next is waqf board in India is the dash largest owner, first, second, or third largest owner of the land, or fourth. Yes, Nandini, Kushagra, you both right. C, third is the right answer. आप देख सकते हो, है ना. They are the third largest landowner after armed forces and railways. Okay, that is what you should be knowing. Now let's talk about the act. पहले हम लोग जानते हैं वक्फ एक्ट एक तो पहले बना था 54 वाला, है ना. Now recent years में 1995 में वक्फ एक्ट was passed. Okay, first और second बताएं, railways and defense. First is defense, then second railway, है ना. So Waqf Act 1995 was there. Okay. So wherever you will say कि the act, it was talking about the old one, and new amendment is actually called as this. Umeed. United Waqf Management, Empowerment, Efficiency and Development Act, Umeed. Umeed Act ऐसे लिखा हो रहेगा. मतलब ये 1995 अब तो ये 2025 हो जाएगा ना टेक्निकली. ठीक है. Okay, so now let's talk about it. अब देखो, whenever we'll be discussing it, the act लिखा हुआ है, the act मतलब ये old वाला बात हो रहा है 1995, और यहाँ लिखा the bill means we are talking about 2025. Now it has become an act also, but this is what you should understand it. ठीक है, तो बताइए रहे कि let's talk about formation. The act in old one 1995 one allowed waqf to be formed by declaration, recognition based on long term use, etc. ठीक है ना. The endowment when in the line of succession ends, the bill states that only a person practicing Islam for at least 5 years may declare a waqf. ठीक है, तो इसमें बताते हैं एक चीज होता है वक्फ बाय यूजर, इस पर थोड़ा सा बात हुई थी, we'll discuss it. For example, there are some places, हाँ, एक 1954 में हुआ था, उसके 1995 वाला भी आया था उसके बाद PNC. ठीक है, so here we all are talking about 1995 which is being amended. ठीक है, वक्फ बाय यूजर का मतलब, फॉर एग्जांपल देयर इज अ मॉस्क और व्हिच इज 3000 years old and people are praying there for the past 3000 years. This is called as waqf by user because if there is no land deed, मतलब proof नहीं है इसका, paper is not left, so this is called as waqf by user. Please understand it because we will discuss it. There is a judgment of Supreme Court in this regard. वक्फ बाय यूजर का मतलब है कि 3000 साल से लोग हैं, 2000 साल से, अब आई एम जस्ट गिविंग एग्जांपल, may not be 3000 years, let's say 1000 years. So people are praying here for the past 1000 years, but of course it is very difficult to find out the land deed, मतलब documents कि this was originally a mosque or like that. ठीक है, this is called as waqf by user. ठीक है, तो खैर इसमें अभी क्या लिखा है कि जो नया बिल है 2025 का बिल, it says that only a person practicing Islam for 5 years may declare a waqf. Okay, why I'm discussing it, because recently this was stated by the Supreme Court. मतलब if a person XYZ wants to waqf or donate a land, this person has to prove that he has been a Muslim for at least 5 years. Okay, now this is the new law. New law means 2025 one. That is what it says. It clarifies that the person must own the property being declared. Of course, it removes waqf by user, and waqf by user I've told you, and it also adds waqf must not be relevant inheritance. हाँ, मतलब inheritance rights नहीं deny होना चाहिए, including women's shares. For example, whatever, let's say XYZ is there and he has to give some land, some portion to his children also, that should not be denied. ठीक है, तो ये तो नॉर्मल सी बात. आप लोग क्या बात कर रहे हो कमेंट सेक्शन में? अच्छा, स्लाइड मॉक के बारे में बाद में बात कर लेना, प्लीज be careful here. Now this is actually the most important topic. Okay, the bill states that any government property identified as a waqf will cease to be so. मतलब इसमें क्या है कि अगर किसी में कुछ dispute हो गया between the government if it has been identified by the government that no, this land is not a waqf land, rather it belongs to the government, then in that case who will be the judge? So the collector, the DM, will define. This matter has also been stated by the Supreme Court. I'll discuss. Now, why? Can anyone tell me why this has been stated by the Supreme Court? If there's a land, okay, and this is a waqf land, the waqf board says that this is the land belonging to waqf. But let's say the state government comes and says, no, this was our land. So in that case, whenever such disputes happen, the collector will decide, the DM will decide. Why this was stated by the Supreme Court? Anyone? Because DM works, of course, on the state government. He's an officer there from the same administration. So the idea of separation of executive and judiciary. Excess authority, no separation of power. That is what Supreme Court said. Yes. Separation of power. There has to be a waqf tribunal or some other neutral judge who should be finding out. Hai na? So that is what the case. Fair. Then a survey of waqf would be there. The acts 1995 acts provides for a survey commissioner and additional commissioners. Now the bill means, which even now has become an act, empowers collector to do so. So all the powers were in the hand of collectors. Now central waqf council would be there, which advises central and state governments. So who will be in charge of that? The union minister. The union minister in charge of waqf is the ex officio chairperson of the council. It is union minister, like Minister of Minority Affairs. The act requires that all council members be Muslims. Act मतलब पुराना वाला 1995. That all the members should be Muslims and at least 2 must be women. The old law said that all the members of the council should be Muslims and there has to be at least 2 women. But the new bill, the new is 2025. It says that there should be 2 members must be non-Muslim also. Okay? यहाँ पे जहां एक्ट लिखा है ये 1995 वाली बात हो रही है. प्लीज बी केयरफुल. द एक्ट रिक्वायर्स दिस. यहाँ लिखा द बिल 2025. ओके, बिल मतलब नया वाला. नाउ इवन दिस हैज आल्सो बिकम एन एक्ट, बट दिस वाज बिफोर द लॉ वाज मेड. दिस इज द स्क्रीनशॉट. ठीक है. Not only that, so it means in Central Waqf Council even 2 non-Muslims can also be there. है ना, at least 2 है. इसमें ये लिखा कि only 2 है ना. And even former judges and MPs can also, the local MPs can also be a part of that, है ना. And following members must be Muslim, representative Muslim organization, scholar in Islamic law, chairperson of Waqf, etc. है ना. है ना. इसमें लिखा है अगर मान लीजिए MPs हैं, former judges हैं, they need not to be a Muslims as well. ठीक है. However, they have said, the new bill has said that of course these things people has to be a Muslim. Okay. Means under a new bill there is provision of a non-Muslim to be a member of Central Waqf Council. Itna samajh lo, that is more than enough. Okay. Now the next is Waqf Board. The act provides for setting up 2 members each from Electoral College of Muslims, MPs, MLAs and MLCs, है ना. The bill instead, the bill means 2025. ये act मतलब 1995 वाला. Empowers the state government to nominate 1 person from each of the background. They need not to be Muslims. ठीक है. Again, state government भी एक nomination भेज सकती है which need not to be a Muslims. State government will appoint. ठीक है. It adds the board must have 2 non-Muslim members. ये तो मैंने बता दिया, अभी यहाँ पे देखा है. And at least 1 member each from Shias, Sunnis, backward class. Okay. So primarily there is Sunni Waqf Board is there, but there is Shias, Sunnis, and backward classes of Muslims should also be there. It means from across the sect and across the caste, people should be there as the member. Okay. And but at least there should be 2 non-Muslim members also, and that will be decided by the state government. So at least है ना 2 non-Muslim members होने चाहिए, plus Shia, Sunni, backward class सबसे representation होने चाहिए. Even there can they can have separate Bohra and Aga Khani communities. These are also Muslim communities. They can have also be represented. And at the same time, MPs and former judges can also become a member who need not to be a Muslim. यानी अगर मुस्लिम नहीं भी हैं, उस एरिया के MPs हैं या फॉर्मर जजेस हैं, तो कोई जरूरी नहीं कि उनको मुस्लिम होना चाहिए. These are the things. And the bill also says, bill मतलब 2025 वाला कि whatever the 2 Muslim members must be women also out of these. ठीक है. मैं आपको एक रफ आइडिया दे रहा हूँ, पूरा डिटेल नहीं जानना है. ठीक है. मैं आपको फिर लास्ट में when I will tell you the Supreme Court judgment, I'll tell you in short. ठीक है. Then act requires state to constitute tribunals. Act मतलब 1995. We have Waqf tribunals also. And chairmen are actually judges of class 1, so they are equivalent to the district judge. Okay. So act मतलब old वाला, in 1995 act says that the members of the Waqf tribunal मतलब होता है कोई dispute होता है ना. If there is a dispute whether this land belongs to Waqf land पर कोई dispute होगा. So according to the previous 1995 law, it should be decided by Waqf tribunal. And Waqf tribunal को जो head होते हैं वो district judge rank के officer होते हैं, right? But there are other members also in the Waqf tribunal who includes an ADM and a person of knowledgeable in Muslim law. So a district judge, who is the chairperson, ADM, additional district magistrate, DM say 1 rank below, and then there is a Muslim expert, Muslim law expert. This was in 1995 law. Okay. Now the new law says a district judge rank officer, a rank joint secretary state government. यानी last वाला remove कर दिया गया. This one has been removed. So now in 2025 bill, a district judge rank officer or a joint secretary level officer of state government. So district judge to judge हो गए ना. So this is the chairperson. Okay, this has to be crystal clear. So 2025 law में district judge will be the chairperson. There will be a member who can be a joint secretary But there is the last provision that a Muslim who is an expert in the law has been removed in the new law. Okay? So these are some of the things. Then appeal on orders of tribunals. Under the Act, decision of tribunal are final and appeals against this decision in courts are prohibited. However, the consular can or its own record application etc. मतलब ये था originally. Even though देखो आपको एक चीज क्लियर होना चाहिए, even though Waqf tribunal order is considered as binding, but please be careful whatever tribunal it is, its appeal can be filed in the High Court and even the Supreme Court. ये एकदम crystal clear होना चाहिए. Now please tell me which judgment of the Supreme Court said that the order of tribunal can be challenged the High Court. एक चीज याद रखिएगा, because yes people were saying कि Waqf tribunal का जो order है final binding होता है, सब बात सही है. It is true that the Waqf tribunal's order are final and binding, but this does not mean that there is no scope of appeal. ऐसा नहीं होता है. Whichever tribunal is National Green Tribunal, जितना भी tribunal है ये पूरे इंडिया में, all of their judgments can be appealed in the Supreme Court except Armed Force Tribunal. Armed Force Tribunal का मामला अलग होता है, वो मिलिट्री का ट्रिब्यूनल होता है. That's we are not talking about it. But other than that, all the tribunals order can be challenged in the Supreme Court at least, if not in the High Court. But generally, even now in the High Courts also, it can be challenged. L. Chandra Kumar case बहुत famous है. Okay. है ना, उन्होंने कहा था कि tribunals are not equal to the High Courts, and the decision of such challenge shall be appealed before a two judgment of a High Court. ठीक है, तो ये तो crystal clear होना चाहिए. The bill empowers the central government to make rules regarding registration and publication. ये सब तो बात होगी, है ना. The bill empowers, the bill मतलब वही 2025 वाला. The central government to get these audited by CAG or a designated officer can audit it. Audit means हिसाब किताब check करना, है ना, auditing, that whether they are doing it properly or not. That is what you should be knowing. है ना. The bill allows for a separate Waqf boards for Aga Khani and Bohra sect. These are also the sects among Muslims. ठीक है. Now let's talk about Supreme Court order. तो Supreme Court stays arbitrary Waqf changes but upholds the act. तो अब हुआ क्या? First, the Supreme Court has not stayed the entire act. अब ये act बन गया. So instead of bill, now we'll be using the word act. Okay. So the Supreme Court has the petition was challenged that the entire act should be quashed, but the Supreme Court did not stay all the laws, acts, but only those which the Supreme Court has found arbitrary. अच्छा मैं एक चीज पूछता हूँ. If the Supreme Court says that this particular law is arbitrary, it violates which article of the Constitution? Generally, if there are four options given, Article 14, 19, 21, 25 ऐसे दिया हो. इस तरह क्वेश्चन एक एग्जाम में, गवर्नमेंट एग्जाम में मैं देख रहा था, पूछा था which article? If the Supreme Court says that this thing is arbitrary, मतलब I'm not talking only about this, but in general I'm saying Article 14, okay, equality before law. Okay. So generally speaking, I'm not saying in this context, but generally speaking, if the Supreme Court said this is arbitrary, मतलब ये 14 का violation generally मानता है. ठीक है, खैर. So the judge bench, Justice B.R. Gavai and Justice A.G. Masih has passed an order, है ना, reason that it was naturally presumed to be constitutional, means entire act they are not declaring unconstitutional, but some of the provisions he stayed. So first provision is regarding practicing for 5 years. मतलब, for example, the act said, the 2025 act, now it is an act, said that if you want to donate, if you are XYZ, you want to donate this to the Waqf, you have to prove that you are a Muslim for 5 years. It means a non-Muslim cannot do a donation to a Waqf board, a Muslim Waqf board. Or if he has done it, or if a person has converted to Islam religion, then he is to prove it that he has been practicing it for the past 5 years. But this has been stayed by the Supreme Court. ये वाला provision. Okay. So the first provision stayed, clear हो गया. So the court said there was nothing wrong in requiring a person to prove that his faith was 5 years old. मतलब आपको ये प्रूव करने की जरूरत नहीं कि हम 5 साल से इस रिलीजन को फॉलो करें तभी हम डोनेट करेंगे. Okay, that is what the Supreme Court has said. तो ये first provision is clear. The next provision is the court found is provision section 3C. हाँ, which mandated, which says that a waqf would lose its character the moment someone raised a doubt that it was a government property. And who will be the officer in charge? The district magistrate. है ना, आप देखोगे कहीं भी लिखा होगा would be breaching its, है ना, सेक्शन 3C। पर इसमें ये कि अगर किसी ने कह दिया जो हमने बताया था कि let's say this is a land and this belongs to the waqf, and someone said and challenged कि no, this does not belong to the waqf, and the dispute started and they said no, it belongs to the state government. Now the state government will decide. So the moment someone has raised a doubt, this land will no more be a part of waqf, will lose its character the moment someone raised a doubt. Okay, and now of course this will be decided by the collector. That was the law had said, but this provision has been stayed by the Supreme Court. So waqf property cannot be suddenly ceased to be even to be won before the designated officer completes the probe. Designated officer generally DM यहाँ पर. So probe complete होने से पहले government property नहीं बता दिया जाएगा. That is what it says. Okay. So आप देख सकते हो what is significant Supreme Court's interim order. The court suspended section 3C, which authorized district collector to inquire into whether property claimed as waqf was in fact the government land or not. Why? Because I have told you this is a violation of separation of powers. Because there are two parties. On one side is state government, the other side is waqf board. If there's a dispute, let's say that this land belongs to the government or this land belongs to the waqf board, and who will be the solving authority? District magistrate, and district magistrate actually works under the state government. So of course this is violation of separation of power, etc. and all, है ना, a principle of natural justice. Okay, तो ये वाली बात होगी. पावर ऑफ करेक्टर स्टेट, नॉन मुस्लिम्स ऑन बोर्ड लिमिटेड, वक्फ केस रिकैप, है ना. तो एक तो मैंने बता दिया. हाँ, लेकिन जब डिस्प्यूट चल रहा है तो मुतवल्लिस को किसी थर्ड पार्टी को ट्रांसफर नहीं करना और कुछ नहीं करना है ना. That is the common sense. That for example, if there is a dispute in this land, someone has said that no, this land belongs to the state government. Now the dispute started, the matter went to the DM, but now ये तो DM वाला matter stay कर दिया, but let's say it went to the Waqf tribunal or somewhere. So at that time the mutawalli cannot transfer this land, है ना, etc. and all. So these are the things. Now यही पे था ना सेंट्रल वक्फ काउंसिल, इसमें टोटल 22 members होते हैं, which I was talking about, that there can be at least 2 non-Muslim and there can be a member of a parliament also or a judge who need not to be a Muslim. तो इसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि maximum 4 non-Muslims can be there out of 22. ये important है, इसको ध्यान रखिएगा. So in Waqf there are 22 members, Central Waqf Council, maximum 4 non-Muslims can be there. Earlier there was no maximum limit. Okay. State Waqf boards में 11 में out of 3 maximum can be a non-Muslim. Okay. Now the next line, the Supreme Court says that the chief executive officer of state board must be picked from the Muslim community, but ये लिखा as far as possible. मतलब the state Waqf board में एक CEO होते हैं, chief executive officer. That CEO, the Supreme Court said, should be a Muslim. But the Supreme Court said as far as possible. यहाँ पे must लिखा, फिर यहाँ लिख दिया as far as possible. So must means कि surety के साथ as far as possible मतलब जितना हद तक कोशिश किया जा सके. So it appears to be a little contradictory, but that is how as far as possible is written by the Supreme Court. तो इसमें थोड़ा सा weakness है, and even many experts, constitutional experts also highlighted it. कि as far as possible means there is a scope that even non-Muslim can become a member of CEO. Because as far as possible does not mean कि 100% with surety. है ना? खैर. Petitioner claims alarm about subordination of Muslim member etc. by including non-Muslim in them. खैर ये तो बात हो गई. तो जो जजमेंट हो मैंने बता दिया. हाँ, वक्फ बाय यूजर. व्हाट इज वक्फ बाय यूजर? देखो अर्लियर जब हियरिंग हो रही थी ना इस साल मार्च अप्रैल में, so जस्टिस संजीव खन्ना was in support of allowing वक्फ बाय यूजर. So there was initially there were 3 judge bench led by Justice Sanjeev Khanna. But here the current order that was passed by a 2 judge bench, they actually did not support waqf by user. Means they said ki waqf by user means, for example, I've told you, let's say for example there is a mosque for the past 1000 years. Let's say I'm just giving example, people are praying, or let's say for the past 500 years, okay, in a particular mosque, but they do not have any land proof. Then it was considered that since people are praying it for the past 500 years, so of course it is considered as a part of waqf. But now but now they have to give the proof. The Supreme Court they said कि नहीं, right from 1923 in all the Waqf enactment we have referred to, there was a requirement of registration of Waqf. So of the view that if the mutawallis for a period of 102 years could not get the Waqf property registered, they cannot claim they are allowed to continue. But the CGI said now in this order that no, there will not be any Waqf by user. Means ये नहीं कह सकते हो कि since the people are using the old dargahs mosque for the past more than let's say 100 years or 200 years or 500 years or 1000 years, whatever it is, then it will be a mosque. You have to prove it. You have to show some land deed. Okay, because since 1923 there has been registration is being done, etc. तो ये उन्होंने बताया. Okay, so the court noted that Waqf Act 1995 allowed registration without requirement to provide a formal deed. So at least registration क्या वो होना चाहिए था, है ना? That is what I could understand about this. ठीक है? So basically Waqf by user has been squashed. प्लेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट तो ये था ना कि 1947 के बाद कोई वर्शिप का प्लेस को चेंज नहीं किया सकता है. पर इसमें चेंज ये नहीं चेंज करने की बात हो रही ना कि दिस मॉस्क विल बी कन्वर्टेड टू सम अदर रिलीजियस बिल्डिंग. ये वो चीज है कि जैसे मान लो दिस इज अ लैंड वेयर पीपल आर प्रेइंग फॉर लेट्स से 200 इयर्स और 500 years, but they do not have any proof. Okay, in that case the government can claim कि no, this land belongs to me because you do not have any land deed or something like that. ठीक है, so you have to prove it, or at least it should have been registered under 1995 act, something like that, है ना? कुछ registration का कागज होना चाहिए or something like that, है ना? यही मतलब whatever I can understand is this. ठीक है, तो previous CGI का था. If for 30 long years mutawallis have chosen not to make an application for registration, they cannot be heard. तो ये बताया कि मुतवल्लिस को अगर पिछले 30 साल से 1995 से लेकर अब तक रजिस्टर करा लेना चाहिए था, है ना? So that is what is they are saying. हाँ, अब प्रोटेक्टेड मॉन्यूमेंट्स के बारे में पढ़ लेते हैं. एक लॉ होता है एमेसर एक्ट, किसी ने सुना ये? Ancient Monument and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act. Under it, some sites are declared as protected monuments. ठीक है, and they are regulated by Archaeological Survey of India. तो आप सर्च करोगे तो आपको मिल जाएगा. जैसे मैंने आई सर्च जामा मस्जिद एट फिरोज शाह कोटला, हौस खास मस्जिद इन दिल्ली, many other places, many temples are also under actually MSR Act, they are protected. So now they are being controlled by Archaeological Survey of India. Okay, तो वक्फ के कंट्रोल में नहीं है. For example, even Taj Mahal is also not controlled by Waqf. ठीक है, it is again controlled by Archaeological Survey of India. So they have said, the petitioners have said कि if it goes under protected monument, then from this logic, the people will cease to pray there. Then the Supreme Court has clarified, नहीं, अगर आप section 5 clause 6 पढ़ोगे, MSR Act, Ancient Monument and Archaeological Sites and Remain Act, it permits citizen to continue with the customary practices even in such area that is being declared as protected monument. मतलब ये है. So if and this is not only about mosque but about anything, temple, mosque और कोई भी चीज. If it is declared under MSR Act, if it is declared as protected monument, so still people can go and pray in the temple and the mosque. Okay, ऐसा नहीं है कि अब स्टॉप कर दिया कि अगर प्रोटेक्टेड मॉन्यूमेंट हो गया, ये ASI ने डिक्लेयर कर दिया तो आप जो है प्रे नहीं कर सकते, ऐसा नहीं. ओके, है ना? तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने क्या कि जो पेटिशनर ने कहा था कि वी विल लूज द since when it is declared as protected monument under MSR Act, we will lose the status of praying, etc. But the Supreme Court said no, it is a fallacy because the law itself allows. So MSR Act में allowed है कि आप जाके pray कर सकते हैं, जो आपका का process है ना? और वो किसी के लिए भी, it is not only for a mosque but for any religious place. ठीक है? Because MSR includes all. आप search करना list of sites protected under MSR Act. You will get a PDF on the Google. तो आप देख सकते हैं बहुत सारे temples and mosques हैं. वैसे आप चाहो तो ये देख सकते हो previous video, but we have done it in today's class, है ना? ये सब मैंने बता दिया. Collector cannot be permitted to adjudicate the disputes, है ना? और ना collector, because of course it is violate separation of power, है ना? Arbitrary exercise of power, ये सब term रहे. Please remember Article 14 का violation जनरली माना जाता है. ठीक है? ये हो गया ज्वाइंट कमेटी. ये तो लास्ट ईयर जब ज्वाइंट JPC बना था, ज्वाइंट पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी लेड बाय मिस्टर जगदम्बिका पाल, इस क्लास में मैंने बताया है, बट आप इसको स्किप कर सकते हो बिकॉज ऑलमोस्ट ऑल द थिंग्स आई हैव डन टुडे. है ना. इसमें कुछ और है, वक्फ बाय यूजर क्लॉज. सो वक्फ बाय यूजर हैज बीन क्वैश्ड. ओके, ये हो गया. Tribalism can be challenged the high courts. हाँ, ये हमेशा याद रखिएगा. Even if it is written in the law that the tribunal order cannot be challenged, but for all practical purpose it can be challenged the High Court or Supreme Court. At least Supreme Court में बिल्कुल challenge किया सकता है, except Armed Force Tribunal. This has to be very crystal clear. ये हो गया. इसमें से कुछ we are done with this, I think mostly, है ना. So this is all about today's class. I hope the concept is clear, whatever I have discussed. Is it clear? देखो ये जो कलेक्टर वाली बात है ना, इसको आप प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नेचुरल जस्टिस का वायलेशन मैंने बताया था, बट और चीज बताता हूं, है ना. एक प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नेचुरल जस्टिस होता है नेमो जुडक्स इन कॉसा सुआ. ये जानते हो, ऐसा कुछ लगते हैं. व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस? तो मैंने बताया ना कि if there is a dispute, let's say for example the state government claims that this land belongs to us and Waqf board says that this land belongs to us. Okay, in that case the first solving authority is collector or DM. Then it will go to the Waqf tribunal and court heads up. But why it was stayed? No one shall be a judge in his own case. Yes, very good, Priyanshi. No one shall be a judge in his own case. In his or own case, है ना. सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर्स यहीं से आता है ना. सो ऑफ कोर्स देयर हैज टू बी सम न्यूट्रल. अगर डीएम की जगह एक होता है डिस्ट्रिक्ट जज, देन इट मेक्स सेंस, है ना. सो दैट इज व्हाट इट मींस. तो इसीलिए देयर इज सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर्स आल्सो व्हिच इज मेंशन्ड इवन इन द डीपीएसपी, है ना. ये भी पूछते हैं व्हिच आर्टिकल टॉक्स अबाउट सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर्स मेंशन्ड इन डीपीएसपी. मैंने बताया अभी इन टुडेस क्लास. व्हिच आर्टिकल? Article 50, है ना. Okay. So this is all about today's class. Please subscribe to the channel, press the like button, share this video. Thank you everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.